Welcome back, Wolfpack. Vrilla's here, and this is how to use Hariyama. So this Pokemon, the only way I can describe its stats is Sumo. That you have a lot of fluff, a huge amount of offenses, and then nothing else, especially really low speed. That pretty much defines this Pokemon, and it kind of defines what the Pokemon is supposed to represent. Sumo Wrestler, and it's really cool that it goes like into this lore aspect as well as just being a very strong Pokemon from it. That 120 base attack is high, and 144 hit points is very high, very usable. It will help out the low defenses, and even then, like, not a lot of speed. That either says Trick Room, or with that much health, you're just kind of like, I'm going to endure a hit and then try to smack you back really hard. Look at its typing, just a pure fighting type. Now, this Pokemon was a lot stronger, except with the introduction of Fairy type in 6th generation, just kind of not giving it too many trade-offs right there. So, it used to just be weak against Flying and Psychic, and that was really nice. But the addition to Fairy just gives Hariyama more problems than it needs, and that the resistances are alright, and a lot of neutral hits. And you can't offensively hit Ghosts, because that's how fighting types work. So, after that, we'll hop into Pokemon Showdown. So when we look at Hariyama in Pokemon Showdown, we get to see that it's just going to be a very bulky Pokemon that you're going to run over your opponent with. Now, the first idea is just kind of, if you can baton pass anything, or you can tailwind it, or you can get any kind of speed boost in this Pokemon, it can be terrifying. Like, especially if you can, like, baton pass some offenses, you know, Swords Dance and a speed boost in this Pokemon. Oh, it's over for your opponent, because you have so much bulk. You're a 2-3 hit KO, and then you're outspeeding him with a lot of damage. Really, the only thing that threatens you is Talonflame by that point. And with the addition of Fairy types and Talonflame, Hariyama not getting as much play as it should, because there are a lot of threats out there. But again, the idea is you use Fake Out, you have Guts activate with the Flame Orb, since Guts ignores the attack drop from Burn. You're just going to have a lot of damage outright, and you can coverage out from there. Close Combat is going to be Stab, and essentially just going to decimate your opponent on one, just touching them. You also have Ice Punch for the Dragon Flying coverage that does a little extra damage. Also, if it's a super effective hit, use it instead of Close Combat, that way you don't lose the defenses, since it's pretty much going to be a KO anyways, and then Knock Off for that little bit of extra damage, as well as Disruption to your opponent. Now with the speed boost, you are going to get close to 400 speed if you have a Tailwind or ×2 on the stats. If you can't do that, this Pokemon still works out as a very bulky mixed tank. That, because the hit points are so high, you just have to invest into defense and special defense, and now we're looking at a Pokemon that's going to be very hard hitting and very durable. Now, I just don't like it because if you throw out a Close Combat, like I'd recommend bringing in Hariyama on a Pokemon that can hit super effective or Revenge KO with Ice Punch and Knockoff. Then you can throw the Close Combat, that way it becomes a 2-for-1, and then you can take a Retribution hit, because losing those defenses just kind of makes it to where now you're very susceptible, and now you could potentially just get knocked out. Then we can also look at Sheer Force. Hariyama has Sheer Force ability, and this works well with a lot of things. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't get much fighting boost from the Sheer Force. That Cross Chop it doesn't affect with a high critical hit ratio, and the only thing that would be affected is Force Palm, but it only goes up to 78 power, and in that case, you might as well just be using Brick Break. So there are a couple of options here. Do you go for Brick Break, the lower base power move? Life Orb's recoil is pretty much ignored, so you don't have to worry about it. And then you just get the extra damage on Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Ice Punch. So it's going to be a 30%, plus a 30%, plus just being a monstrous Pokemon that's going to absorb like 3 hits while dishing out KOs back. Now, Cross Chop is the close call on this one, because do you want to play with that 80% accuracy for more KOs? Or do you just want to have the reliable damage from Brick Break? Or do you even just want to be a Close Combat Pokemon? Like, again, we've already discussed Close Combat a little. It's really back and forth on this one. Also, with Life Orb and Sheer Force, you can have Belly Drum, or not Belly Drum, Body Slam as an option. Body Slam can be very strong. It's just, like, again, a really close call, because what you're doing is you're giving up, like, the Fairy strength, because you're not expecting to outspeed a lot of Fairies, is kind of the idea, so you might as well just have Body Slam, get more neutral damage across the board. It's going to get boosted by Sheer Force, so you can get a lot of damage that way. Also, some other ideas are White Herb. Yeah, since it'll lower all stat changes to 0 when 1 is less than 0, which means Close Combat is going to bring you back up, which means you can Close Combat twice and potentially secure 2 KOs. Sheer Force isn't affected by Close Combat, so you're just kind of looking for a raw amount of damage on there, and then the coverage out with the rest of it. So, other options is that you can Rest Talk. Guts works on status, that if the Pokemon's status, which means if you're asleep, sleep is a status, you play that Rest Talk game. Now you're asleep, you Sleep Talk, you use Bulk Up or Knock Off, and you're getting the bonus damage on Knock Off. You can get the sustain from leftovers, or can use a Citrus Berry. Leftovers is going to give you more staying power throughout the game. Citrus Berry is going to let you set up a bulk up, maybe take a lot of damage, then rest talk it off, or just like get one extra bulk up before having to go into a rest. And it's just like that burst health that keeps you from dying immediately sometimes. The spread on this is going to be much more defensive with a lot of care in the special defense. That you max out the special defense, you go for the hit points, and then you put a little into defense. Since bulk up is boosting your defense, it ends up paying out very well. So as for moves, I don't like superpower, I don't like close combat on trying to make a tanky Pokemon. You're just weakening yourself for no reason. Also, if you're using a fighting type move, while you are getting stabbed, you are getting walled out by ghost type Pokemon. So that doesn't really work out either. Knockoff, since it's a dark type move, you're guaranteed that bonus damage on pretty much any Pokemon for the first hit, while causing some disruption. It can work out really well. You remove a Choice Band, you remove Choice Specs, you remove a Life Orb. Now they're doing less damage to you, and you already got that bonus damage off while still having a good hit. It has a high amount of PP, so you really won't have to worry about running out of moves. And if you're already at +4, +5 from bulk up, you can be doing very well against your opponent like that. I like this set the most just because it combos with Guts, it gives you a lot of durability, it makes you a very, very strong mixed tank, and it just gives you a lot of opportunities to set up and really just overrun your opponent. This has the highest sweeping potential. These are just like reliable 2-for-1s / revenge KO setups. And then you can run Hariyama in doubles or with Trick Room. That Trick Room, Brave Nature, going to get that same attack, but you're going to lose on the speed, which means now you're set up to do a lot of things that you can fake out. If you fake out for your opponent, it's going to make it to where now your Trick Room Pokemon has a better chance of setting up. I don't know why Belly Drum is here though, that actually kind of just put itself there. But with this you have Fake Out and you also have Wide Guard. Wide Guard is going to protect you from Earthquake, Rock Slide, and if your opponent doesn't know it, you know, you Fake Out, you set up the Trick Room, you can get a Wide Guard prediction, now your Trick Room Pokemon gets to set up or do damage, and then you also have a lot of damage from there. Close Combat works since you are having a speed priority, and you can also just have extra coverage with Ice Punch. So that's about all there is to Hariyama. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Very strong Pokemon, very reliable, just super bulky Pokemon, and I hope you all have a nice day.